Hey guys, Uncommon Roman here. This is kind of impromptu, because I just got a package that I've been waiting 3 freaking years for, guys. The Myth Journeyman modules, wave number 2 of 3, has finally sent, and there is supposed to be a lot of content in here. I'm gonna have to go through the checklist, make sure I got everything, but guys, myth isn't a myth. It finally freaking came. There's a lot here that I need to go through to make sure it's like fully complete, but guys, it's finally here. 3 years late. Hey guys, Uncommon Roman here. In the first part of this video, you saw that I received the package after 3 years of waiting. So this is the Journeyman modules, the stretch goals, and the colored fate die. That was one of the add-ons that I had added because I realized that they don't give you enough fate die if you're using certain characters. So one thing I'm going to say right off the bat, the reason that I didn't want to do an unboxing for this is because I knew I'd be disappointed right off the bat. And I knew I'd probably say some things that I shouldn't say. So why am I disappointed? They did finally give us Wave 2, even though there's still a Wave 3 coming. I'm disappointed because there are no minis here. So if I should have taken a picture of the packing slip, because the packing slip literally said all modules, all stretch goals, and then colored fate die. So I got my colored fate die. That's true. And then Journeyman modules, as I just showed, which I will show you what's inside of there. So I have the Journeyman modules, and then I have this box here that's labeled stretch goals. And this is empty at the moment. This is actually the box, because all the stretch goals are literally right here, and as you can see right off the bat, not all the stretch goals are here. So they lied to us again. So, like, with the modules, I'm upset because they give you everything that you need for the modules, which again I'm going to show later in the video, except obviously the minis. Okay, so that's slightly irritating, but I can see, you know, maybe that's why they were waiting for Wave 3. But the packing slip literally said all stretch goals, and this isn't even part. I mean, this is only part of the stretch goals. And it's the smallest part of the stretch goals. Because, again, they bit off more than they could chew, and they created a ton of miniature stretch goals, and there's not one. Not a single mini is here. Not even the Avatar of Shadow, which should have come with Shores of Canis and Blackwall Warrens. So literally no mini is here. They give me one of my add-ons, which is the colored fate die, and I added on the sculpted layers, the Scald and Spriggan Journeyman miniatures, the stealthy guy, both the female and male stealth version miniatures, and a couple other miniature add-ons in general, which is a small amount of miniatures that they could have easily added to this, but they're going to add into the third shipment with literally all the miniatures, which means you're going to get hundreds of miniatures in that, and then in that next shipment. Does that make the game unplayable? Technically, no. You could use tokens to take the place of everything that you're missing. So, like, for instance, when the Journeyman modules ask you for a specific miniature that you don't have because they didn't provide it with you in Wave 2, well, you could just substitute out a token. But why should you have to? This project is 3 years. I'm sorry, not 3 years overdue. I backed it 3 years ago. It's 2 years overdue. This project is literally 2 years overdue. So why should I have to be using counters for story-related stuff that I want to play? And so yeah, needless to say, disappointed. Because of the miniatures, and because they lied again. They did not have to put on the packing slip all stretch goals are included here. They could have easily had just put, you know, the paper stretch goals and the card stretch goals. Because here it is, you can look at it. This is cards and some cardboard. That's it. And the modules, the stretch goal modules. That's all they added into the stretch goals here. So by saying that they had all the stretch goals here, they literally lied to us again. And I understand they were at a position where they were contemplating sending out an email saying, oh, we can't fulfill the last part of our obligation. Irritating as that is, and I'm glad that they were able to find some way to make it work out, that's not okay. Stop freaking lying. Just be upfront about it, because it's irritating as crap to get this in the mail and be super excited about it and then open it up and find that literally one of the main pieces to this game is just completely missing, and I have to wait probably another year, maybe longer, for those pieces to be sent out. Who knows? Because we still haven't received an update about Wave 3, since they're still fulfilling Wave 2. All that aside, they did add on, or they did manage to fulfill a good chunk of stuff here. We got all our paper materials, so you can at least read into it and see, you know, how the setup goes and everything. But this is just, this whole project has just been a major letdown to me. I think I put, and I'm one of the few that didn't put that much into it. I think I put $340 into it if you included all the add-ons plus the modules and the level that I backed at. There are some people who spent way more money than me. And of course, there's those people who spent the bare minimum for the Shores of Canis and Blackwell Warrens. So it's just disappointing. They literally put their project up with a backing goal of $80,000, and they got $980,000. So what the heck happened? How in the world did you mess it up that badly? I mean, literally, it comes down to the same thing that they did during their Mercs campaign, or I guess the Recon campaign, and the same thing they did with the first myth, where they bit off way more than they could chew, constantly adding more miniature stretch goals without thinking about, first off, how many people are going to be receiving it, therefore how many minis you'd have to create to fulfill just that one stretch goal, and how much time and effort goes into making those minis. Yeah, they're super great, but you guys were literally an email away from telling us, oh, sorry, we can't fulfill this. Like, seriously? Anyway, without further ado, stretch goals here. Avatar of Shadow. This is one of the modules that was specific for stretch goals, so if you didn't back it, you're not going to get it. In the Journeyman modules, it doesn't exist. Same with the Scourge of Symbio. This helps you use the Cyclops pieces that were given in the first campaign. And then we have the Rot. The Rot is going to use pieces that you should have gotten if you backed the Recon Myth only level, where you receive Rot miniatures and the card plus the Hunter class. And then we have our Tavern Mode. The Tavern Mode is just a optional mode that you can play that apparently plays differently but has the same characters as Myth. So it's just kind of a fun free-for-all brawl, I guess. And you can see here we have tons of cards. How do I want to go through this? Right here is all the character cards. And some of this is 2.0 class, I think, or 2.0 printings of older cards. For instance, the Spriggan and the Scald. So we have the Alchemist. The Alchemist was a stretch goal character. I don't know if this comes... No, I know for a fact, actually, because it's part of the stretch goals. You can only get this if you had backed for stretch goal rewards. And I'm sorry if I'm going through this really quickly. There's a lot of content here, and I just kind of want to really sift through this. The Scald, or I'm sorry, the Alchemist cards also have the Journeyman as well cards, so we'll see some of those as well. And the Alchemist, it looks like, based on what I saw here, they use parts from the enemy to create potions and whatnot to help your team and also hinder your opponent's team. Or, well, I guess not your opponent, but the darkness. As well as they have some really interesting spray and other types of attacks that are really kind of cool. So this is an example of some of their Journeyman related cards. Now for the Alchemist, the Hunter, the Spriggan, and the Scald, you only get to choose one path. So with the original classes that came in the base game of Myth, you could choose light or dark. With the Alchemist, Hunter, Spriggan, and Scald, you can only choose the one path. So for instance, the Scald, I believe, always goes towards light, and the Hunter always goes towards dark. And I believe the Spriggan also only goes to light. And I don't remember the Alchemist off the top of my head which direction he takes, but they only have one path that they can go through, which is probably okay. I think the Tinkerer is the same way, or not the Tinkerer. The Tinker is the name of the Journeyman class. Can't remember the name of the base class, but yeah, when he turns into a Tinker, he only has the one option. He can't go towards another tree. So that is the Alchemist plus the Journeyman cards. So this is the Hunter cards. This is specifically just the Journeyman cards, so he goes from Hunter to Slayer, and this is his Journeyman set. And again, he is more on the side of dark. A lot of his cards are going to reference Malice, which is something specific to people who take the dark path. Oh, Monk as well. I did forget about that. Monk was a Kickstarter specific class to Myth Journeyman. Monk is the basic character, and Sifu, I think it's Siffu or Sifu, is their Journeyman class. And it's hard to tell. There's some cards that reference Malice on the Sifu, so I'm not 100% sure if it's dark or light, because there's a bunch of other cards that reference like light related things. So I'm thinking the Monk can kind of dance between the two. Not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that, but that's what it seemed like from just a bare glance. And your Monk is going to be kind of using his stances to try and defeat the enemy. As well as Chi. If you were reading the card, it explains how Chi works. But yeah, you can see how they have a bunch of different stances. And if you're looking in the bottom right, you can see that they don't spend a lot of time bringing advancing the darkness meter. So they're a good character to kind of have in there if you're trying to keep control of how often the darkness meter goes off. A lot of their cards are either 1 or 0 darkness. Then these are the Journeyman cards. This is going to be your Sifu. And so this is where I get confused, because we got Harmony here, and I think maybe that's a stance, but as we go into here, we're going to see Malice as well. And so I'm confused. I see Malice here too. I'm confused as to whether he is a dark class, and if the reason he's dark is because he goes from a monk to the drunken style, and just the consumption of alcohol in this world puts you on that dark side. I'm not 100% sure though. So then we go into the Scald. These are the 2.0 cards. So I have these Scald cards already. I just don't think I have the Scald 2.0. So if you already have the Scald cards, this is we already know what all these do. And again, apologize for going so quickly through here, but there's a lot of different heroes and stuff to go through here. The other stack of cards that comes in here is mostly 2.0. It has to do with 2.0 monster cards, and it has a bunch of quest cards. I'm not sure if those are the 2.0 quest cards or if those are the quest expansions. The reason I'm not sure is because I didn't actually optionally back the quest expansions, so I shouldn't be getting them. And it's the same with the stack of items. I didn't optionally back the item expansions because I was planning on purchasing them later, and before I realized that they were going to fall apart. So I don't know if they just decided to refund the people who did buy the item expansions and just give everybody the item expansions, kind of as a, hey, we're really sorry. So this is going to be, as you go through, these are the cards you're going to add as a step up. They're not your journeyman cards, but they're your step up, and then these are your journeyman cards. And they go from Scald to Virtuoso. And I think Virtuoso is light. Although he's got Malice here, so maybe he goes down the dark path as well. Or maybe I just don't understand Malice as much as I thought I did. So then we go into Spriggan, again, 2.0 cards. If you already have Spriggan, you already know what these cards are. The Spriggan is cool because the Spriggan can take time to conjure up pieces of armor. So having items for him that are armor related kind of are useless because he conjures his own armor, and he'll continue to sift through his deck to get it reshuffled, so when his armor does break, he can just continuously conjure it. So for him, it's more about getting stat related stuff that helps his attack boosts and other related things. And as he gets to the journeyman level, he's going to start getting different conjurings so that his armor is a lot more tough, which we'll get to. Sorry about that. Took two cards there, which we'll get to as soon as we get through this deck. So now we're hitting the cards where this is what he'll upgrade into as he levels. He is a summoner, obviously. So he summons bees and so on and so forth. So here's an example, the Ironwood armor. This one would be a replacement for his other chest-related armor. Then we move into the Trickster. That's what it was called, Trickster. Trickster goes into Tinker. And I believe it takes the dark path for that. Again, if you already have the Trickster, you already know what these are. This is just the 2.0 versions of all those cards. We'll sift through those really quickly so we can get to the Journeyman. And the Trickster is all about putting pieces of, you know, scrap that he finds on the ground together to create traps and other helpful items. Like Hurdy Bangs right here says that it requires tools, and you have to have bang powder and metal casing to make them, which essentially is a grenade. And then here, this one says that he requires the blades and springs to create, as well as the tools. So he's just creating a whole bunch of stuff. Here we go with another one where he requires the bang powder. Come on, focus. There we go. Bang powder, metal casing, and springs. And he just creates a whole bunch of really helpful stuff. And this is the stuff he'll upgrade into as he goes along. Oh, I guess it's weird. They separated it. Scrounge for Parts is an incredible card. If you're playing Trickster, Scrounge for Parts is an invaluable card. Innovate. Another Innovate. Chop-a-Whirl. Another Chop-a-Whirl. That one is... You can add it. So this one's new. Multi-Dartomatic. Just a really cool trap. Then, of course, our Hero Juice slinging system for heals. And then, okay, so this is one of his Journeyman cards. He can create this little ally called Eve. And he actually has two ways of creating Eve. That was just one of them. And then here's the other. And Eve's just a little ally that helps him fight. Because as far as most classes are concerned, he is probably one of the least combat savvy. Just simply because he has to spend so much time building the pieces. So if he doesn't get the parts of the pieces, or the parts to the traps in a relatively quick time frame, he kind of does suffer. That is the character cards. So that's going to be all your 2.0s and all your Journeymans for the Kickstarter and or stretch goals from the original game. So like Spriggan and Scald and Trickster. So I don't want to go into the monster cards too much here, because these are literally just 2.0s. There is other monsters in here like Etris and even Hermkald or Hermkald. I don't know how you pronounce this name. They're in here as well. They also give us all of the cards for the agents. So while you may not have the model, you can always substitute, I guess, a token to have the agent, just in case you want to fight the agent, but you didn't get the miniatures. I'm not sure if they have tokens for the agents. I feel like they should, but... And then... yeah, the rest of this is just monsters. So then, like, here is the stack of item cards. And honestly, I would love to go through this entire thing, but as you can imagine, that would make this video insanely long. But we'll look at some of the ones that are actually more powerful, I suppose. These are set pieces: the St. Michael's Spear and the St. Michael's Armor. And each of the, once you receive these, you'll also receive this card just telling you set bonuses. So for instance, if you only had one of the two, then nothing would happen. But if you had both pieces, you'd get a neat little set bonus. And what else is in here? A whole bunch of green items. So here is the Bannerman's set. This, I want to say, is very clearly for the Scald, even though it doesn't indicate as such up here in the upper right-hand corner. But the 4 verses, the only class that uses verses is the Scald or the Virtuoso. So my assumption is that's what that is. And there are, I think, 3 pieces to this. Yeah, 3 pieces. And again, as the set bonuses start to happen, you can see that the first set bonus is verse related. So to me, it screams Virtuoso and Scald, but who knows? Then we have, I don't think it's Shelgoth's set. This is a Spriggan related set. So we have the Talisman. This is one piece that he doesn't conjure himself usually, so here's a nice talisman as a replacement. Bark of the First Tree is a shield. He doesn't usually, or he does usually conjure a shield, but I think this one is just a really superior shield. Belkar's Tooth. He has his cloak, but I don't think that counts as this same slot as this, so I think this is another thing that he doesn't usually conjure. And then here's the set bonuses. And you can see it's very clearly meant for the Spriggan or his Journeyman class, because it has summon attacks, and he's usually the only one summoning. Especially, well, he's not the only one summoning, but he's the only one that's going to utilize those pieces when it comes to summoning. We have Iron Plate. This one is, even though it's iron and it seems like it's a soldier class type of thing, they all have to deal with like traps and stuff like that. And so it's really meant for the, and here's the tools to prove it, it's really meant for the Trickster or the Tinker. Then we have some nasty, nasty little brown items. So these are, a lot of this that I'm going to show you here is what are given to you should you meet a certain, I guess, achievement inside the different modules that are available. So we have the Void Cloak here. The Hand of Fate. This is the one if you go into the Thieves' Den or whatever it's called. The Eye of Ea. So when you're facing the Foundation. The Elemental Fury Potions are also part of that quest, or that module. So here's a legendary item. The Purified Crown of Cerinthius. This is the Naga module. The Skull of the Corruptor, also part of the Naga module, and Talon of Taraxis. This one I don't think is part of the Naga. This one I think is part of the Fireborn. Let me see the Fireborn. Timepiece. This is the TikToks. Goopy Ichor. This is the little goo dudes. Thorn. Razor Helm. Naga Hide. So this, I wasn't 100% sure what these are. They're all like this dark red border. And I think that they're specific, well, I guess they kind of are, aren't they? Let me look up, I'm trying to find the symbol for the, no, that's the, yeah, I don't know what these are. But like the Night Slayer here, it's a gun, which to me screams Slayer or Hunter. And the dual wielding, well, okay, so dual wield and guns also falls into the Archer's Journeyman class as well. Yeah, I don't know what these are. I think maybe these are Slaughterfield rewards. But there's quite a few of them. And they're pretty cool. The bloodied wraps for the monk. Stormguard. Some of these are very general, so like any class can hold them. Got a bunch of two-handers in here. So this is a really neat piece for the brigand. Cool instrument for the virtuoso. And then one last is the Twilight Sword. This is something that you got if you backed the backed for stretch goals for the first myth game. It came with the Twilight Knight. This is just the 2.0 card. And those are the items. Looking down at the time, it looks like I've made this video much longer than it needs to be, so I'm going to break the Journeyman modules into another video. But if you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm just overreacting, but for as long as we've waited, just even some miniatures would have been nice, and it just seems unfortunate, I guess. But again, let me know. Until next time, guys. Peace.